or welcome to Stream On Live. I'm Jim Williams. We've been doing this now for 4 years from a standpoint of podcast. And now we're doing a daily show because it's a lot of fun. You guys seem to enjoy it. We get a lot of good comments, a lot of good feedback, and we're having a lot of fun doing it. So this is our live edition. And very soon we're going to be starting to bring on some guests. People, from people who are play-by-play broadcasters. We'll have some directors, producers, executives, and we'll talk all kinds of things with regard to television, in sports, and in some of the cases, not in sports. So we're going to have some fun in that realm as well. So by all means, what you could do for us here, and it would be very helpful, would be to subscribe, hit the bell, and like. Now, if for some reason you don't want to comment, that's cool. You can do it later and just leave it below. You can also get us podcast-wise at Apple, at Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, as well as on Amazon Music and all places you can get your podcast, as the old saying goes, right? So let's begin today by talking about some ratings, okay? Right now, the NBA has never been hotter. They are getting some phenomenal ratings, mainly driven, frankly, by the Lakers Warriors, as you might expect. That game tonight should be really cool. That'll be a good game. And so both ESPN and TNT are doing quite well. Now, another bit of news, which could be some interesting stuff. One is that Discovery and Warner Brothers had a really good first quarter, which bodes well for them because later this month, hey there, Daniel, good to see you. And good to have you. Any questions or comments, favorite shows, let me know what we can talk about. We can talk about sports. We can talk about sports TV. We can talk about regular TV. Daniel, good to have you aboard. I was just talking about the fact that NBA on TNT, NBA on ESPN have had phenomenal ratings so far. And also that Warner Brothers Discovery very soon, as a matter of fact, on the 23rd. Hey, Jared, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. And good to have both you guys on board. Questions? No problem. We'll have some fun with it, okay? I was just saying that Warner Discovery turned a profit. And what we're going to see here is HBO Max is just going to become Max on the 23rd. Everything is going to go in there. So everything Discovery, everything CNN, everything that TNT, TBS, all of it's going under what will be called Max. Okay, and that's on the 23rd of this month. And so if you're, TNT fan and want to watch, stream your favorite NBA playoff games and NHL playoff games, you'll be able to do it on Max starting on the 23rd. So let's see what else is going on. All right, Dan, here we go. Do you watch? I do. If so, I don't know. What is his live show this evening going to be about? I don't always get to see his show. A lot of times, Daniel, I will catch it on, just on YouTube after it's over. I don't always get to do it or get to see it. Greg seems to be a good fella. So, as I said, I don't know whether I'll be able to watch tonight, but I will check it out. Is there anything that he'll be talking about that I should be looking out for? So, yeah, it's I know a lot of stuff on Greg's show has been about the Big Ten and what's going on there. Let me try to. There's a lot of murkiness in the Big Ten. And let me see if I can help. If those of you who are Big Ten fans out there, here's how it's going to work, okay? And that is the Fox show. Fox will have Big Noon, which they seem to enjoy. So from noon until 3 o'clock ish, right? That's Fox. Then it'll become CBS, which they're going to swap from the SEC, which is going over to ESPN. They'll take over at 3:30. They'll have a 3:30 kick of a Big Ten game on CBS. Now that's going to lead into the primetime show, which will be on NBC and 7 p.m. tonight. Okay, thanks, Daniel. I don't think I'll be able to get to it, but we'll see. Okay, but I will watch it afterwards. Let's see, what did we get? I thought HBO. You know what, Daniel? It's because TBS and TNT are involved. It could still be. You never know, right? They may be in that space. We'll have to keep a lookout, but it would not be uncommon to see them pop up there. Okay, so absolutely keep a lookout. It may happen, right? So, what were we talking about? Pac-12 media rights and some other things. And okay, Pac-12 media rights and some other things. Look, guys, I'm going to say something. I frankly don't think anybody knows what's going on with the Pac-12. Okay, I've been in this business for 45 years. This is not me taking a shot at Greg or anybody. Okay, there's a lot of talk, and there's not a lot of people who know what's going on. Okay, and that's the God's honest truth. I think we're all going to find out. Would I be surprised if the Pac-12 gets less than the Big 12? No, I wouldn't. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they got that kind of money and stayed together. It only blows up if those schools choose to blow it up. And right now, I see nothing on the horizon that leads me to believe that the Pac wants to blow themselves up. So we'll see. Okay, and again, that's given from the people that I talk to. I know Greg talks to other people. I know that Monty talks to people. All of those folks talk to people. I have no reason to believe that they don't feel just as strongly as I do that their sources are solid. So it is what it is, right? I don't think. I think that we'll find out sooner as opposed to later what's going on in the Pac-12. But what it is right at the moment, we'll find out. We'll have some fun finding it out, I'm sure. But I don't think. As I say, don't. If they get less money, all right, don't be surprised if they get less money. Number one, because I've said that all along. I don't think they're going to get the same money the Big 12 is. But I also don't think I don't think that getting less money is the factor. I really don't think that's a big thing. Let me see what you got here. Hey, Jared, would it worry you from a Pac perspective if they can't seem to get a deal done? Well, yeah, that would definitely be a worry if they couldn't get a deal done. Yeah. Let me just put it to you this way, Daniel. If the and Jared, if this was just a strict streaming deal, that deal would have been done. Okay, Apple would have done that in a heartbeat. So if it had, I think the hang up right now is linear. Okay, now I said something early in the week, and I say this not because I know it, but because it's curious. Okay, early in the process, CBS was interested in working for a primetime game. Okay, and we know ESPN is interested in a Pac-12 After Dark package. All right. I just got the CBS, lineup for the fall. Surprisingly, there's Saturday night is all reruns. They're literally going to take shows from throughout the week and rerun them on Saturday night. So would it surprise me if there's a last minute deal between the Pac-12 and CBS? No, it wouldn't surprise me at all. It wouldn't surprise me if there's you know uh, um, a Pac-12 after dark. I I honestly think that they're going to make a deal with, and I wouldn't count the CW out. I wouldn't count I out. I wouldn't count anybody out at this point. NBC. I mean, look, it's still the Pac. It's still got value, and so no, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say. Now, look, I'm a realist in that anything can happen. It could blow up tomorrow. By the time we finish here today, right? By the time we finish here today, Colorado or you know Arizona or Arizona State could bolt to the Big 12. I mean, could it happen? Of course, it could happen. Any of this could happen, but I don't think. I think they want to stay together. I think they want to have a reason to stay together. And so, people have branded me as pro Big. Look, I didn't go to a Pac-12 school. Okay, I didn't. I went to University of South Florida and University of Florida. Okay, so I had no dog in this fight. The only thing I've done, okay, guys, is I have shown ways where the Pac-12 could stay together. All right, that's it. My point of view is, all right, you say it can't. Let me try to show you ways it could. Does that mean it will? No. There's no guarantees. But when the Big 12 was going through its problems, which you guys know as well as I do, they had them. I was doing exactly the same thing. I was saying, hey, look, don't freak. The Big 12 can do it. That you can get through this. They had it in 4 schools. Okay, great deal on that. They did an extension of a TV contract with Yormark. Again, wonderfully done. Okay, so good on the Big 12 for what they have already done. They've accomplished a great deal. My point is, let me show you, just like I did the Big 12. I did exactly the same thing in the Big 12 as I'm talking about the Pac-12, which is, let me show you how it could work. Does that mean Jim Williams knows? Of course it does not know yet. I don't know yet. Nobody probably in the Pac-12 knows yet. But the fact of the matter is, it can happen. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. Would I be concerned about not having a contract at all? Yeah, that would be fan. That would definitely concern me for sure. So what do you got there? KTLA, absolutely. Well, I used to work for KTLA. I love that station. It's the only talent. You know what, Daniel? It's interesting. It's the only TV station in Hollywood. How about that? It was also the first TV station in Los Angeles, and the first TV station west of St. Louis. So definitely, it's a CW affiliate. It's owned and operated by Nexstar, and Nexstar is a huge station ownership group. They bought the Tribune stations, which was, the KTLA was a Tribune station, which is WGN in Chicago, WPIX in New York. So they have legacy stations all over the country that were originally stations like that. So yeah, the CW, I still contend the CW would be a perfect fit for the Pac-12. And they've talked about things. We've heard a lot of stuff in the press. Do not believe what you hear in the press, even if it comes from me from time to time, because again, I have been involved in those deals. People fall in a deal today. I mean, I've hung up phones. I've had phones hung up on me going, I don't want to talk to you. And then the next morning, we're chatting again. Okay. And 2 days later, a deal's done. If you remember, Bowlesby was threatening to sue ESPN. So it's, that's the thing, right? It's a thank you. Appreciate that. But guys, and I think the fun part of anything having to do with sports, in general, right, is speculation. We all like to speculate. I would like to think when I put together a story or I put something on paper or on Twitter, it's not because I want to get somebody upset. It's simply because I want to tell you what I know. Okay. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. Okay. 100%. You have the right to agree with me or disagree with me. Okay. I will defend that right. As long as people keep it civil. I've had some people who have not been very polite, but that's okay. Fine. I can take it. I can take it and yelled at by people who frankly don't know what they're talking about, but that's all right. Don't worry about it. The fun part to all of this, or the fun part for all of us, I guess would be the best way of putting it, is to be able to talk TV sports, to talk about, the play-by-play guys, the producers and directors, which is what I used to do. And talk about what it takes to develop, to do a TV show, right? To do a broadcast. So what it's like to get up, and I used to hate noon kickoffs because I'd have to be at the stadium at 5 a.m. on game day. And, but it is what it is, and we can have fun doing that. We can talk about these deals and whether these deals make sense or don't make sense, and we can have all that kind of fun. And I think that's what I'm doing here, doing this live thing every day, is just so we can just hash things out and look at it from a business perspective and a fun perspective, right? I think that's where we can have some fun with this, and let's enjoy. So let's see what we got here. Sorry, I'm like, nah, good to see you. You're getting here just on time. So what we're talking about is rights. Okay, now you have to think about TV rights in a number of different ways. You have to remember that this is all business, right, guys? It's all business. College athletic departments, okay, are set up as nonprofit organizations. Okay, so they're not actually even set up to make money. Okay, they're set up to be budget neutral, which basically means hopefully we don't lose a lot of money. Okay. So, and by the way, for some reason my backlight went out. So if it looks like there's a glow and a halo on me, trust me, I'm not an angel. But the theory of the case is there's not a team in the Big 12. There's not a team in the Pac-12. There's not a team in the ACC that makes money in their athletic department. It's just a matter of how much money do you lose, okay? And I say that now because Texas is out of the Big 12, and UCLA and USC. USC made money, UCLA didn't, okay? So, that's where we are on that one. Do TV companies make a deal offer with the conference under the assumption the school will sign a grant of rights? Yeah, let me clear that up for you, okay? There's absolutely no way that I'm making a presentation to my presidents, right? I know what those presidents feel, okay? I'm not going to take a vote if they're not going to accept it, okay? That would be silly, right? Think of it from a business standpoint. Would you go into a meeting with a group of people that you knew did not want your product or what you're pitching them, right? So there a delay might be that we're talking about now about a delay. A delay might be because remember they have to have 8 votes. The delay may be that right now they can't get people on board for a deal to sign a grant of rights. So there's no sense in me, if I'm George Kliavkoff or I'm the group of people, there's 4 or so people who are presidents or people that presidents have dedicated to this. if they can't bring me something, which I know I'm going to get 8 votes for, then there's no reason for me to even have that presentation to you, right? So it's kind of like the chicken and the egg, right? I know, I have to know when I go into a room that I'm going to present something that the presidents can accept. If I don't know that, then I really have not done my homework. Because trust me, these people do not, and we're talking these people, presidents of universities, okay, absolutely 100% let you know what is their bottom line and what they expect, okay? So there's no reason for me to make a pitch or a presentation that I know is going to get voted down. There's no reason to even do it, okay? So that part of it we can work on from that standpoint. Let me see what you got here. I have a question concerning the big, okay. TV windows. How beneficial to 3 networks in big is Notre Dame, Oregon, Washington? If you're asking about adding, nothing. Notre Dame is the only one. Oregon and Washington. The Big Ten probably could have got the deal they got without UCLA and USC. Okay, we're pretty damn close to it. So and look, I'm not throwing shade on Washington or Oregon; they're fine programs, but what do they add? Okay, they don't. All they add is inventory, and I've already got a lot of inventory. So let me go through a couple of things here with the Big Ten. The Big Ten has a noon window, which is Fox. Then you've got CBS at 3:30. Then it leads you into NBC. Now, Peacock has 8 games, which they're going to have every month. Every year. Excuse me. Second, I need a little water here. Okay. So let's go through this. The Peacock games right now, and I literally got off the phone with Dan Monson, who is NBC, public relations, to confirm what I was wanting to find out. There has been some communications about this. There is no Big Ten After Dark, okay? It does not exist. The 8 games that Peacock have right now with the Big Ten are games that they will either do in prime time. Is there a potential that they'll start a game at 10:30? It's possible, but not on a weekly basis. It's not going to happen on a weekly basis. What that's for is for them to have, meaning NBC, to have the ability to regionalize a game at that time, okay? Remember that, let's say UCLA is playing a game against Penn State at the same time, because again, 4:30 is 1:30 out on the coast, right? So that's prime opportunity for 4:30 is 1:30. Okay, so which the 7:30 is 4:30, so that's why it's a critical time for them. So let's say 4:30. My primetime game tonight is Penn State and Ohio State. Okay. But at the same time, we have a really good game that might be, it might be Northwestern and UCLA. Okay. Well, I know not everybody's going to want to watch UCLA and Northwestern play, but a significant amount are, because you've got the number 2 market in the country and you've got the number 3 market in the country. So I could simulcast the NBC game of Ohio State and Penn State on Peacock, and also at Peacock, same time, have the other game, which we said was UCLA and Northwestern. Okay, so most of the time, those 8 games are going to be in that prime time, 7:30 Eastern slot. as I said, could it conceivably be that they would do an after dark type 7:30 Pacific time, which would be 10:30 our time? It's conceivable, but they're certainly not going to do it every week. And the other part to that is they don't want to go up against Saturday Night Live. I mean, they would literally be, taking an audience that potentially could help them, in that regard. So this this Big Ten after dark, no, it can happen maybe 2 or 3 times. I don't even think it would take, if you have 8 games. No, it's not going to take, maybe 3, maybe. I doubt it, but could. Anyway, that's the importance of those windows. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, with only 3 main windows, there's only, go around the right. What happens to tier 2 then? That's a damn good question. Yeah, painful. I gotta think that those tier 2 games are gonna go to the Big Ten Network. There's really no other place they can go. I mean, unless, and I haven't seen anything about this, but unless unless it's a situation where CBS is willing to go regional. When ABC and CBS used to do regional, I used to direct regional games in the Midwest, for the Big Ten, and also did some Pac-12 games and also some SEC games. So I'm sorry, some Big East games. So yeah, that would be the way to do it. I would think would be if CBS would go regional and offer it that way. I don't think they've sorted that out yet because we really don't know. But for 100, I would say anything that doesn't go to CBS and doesn't go regional will go to the Big Ten Network, and they'll have to sort that out. What do we got here from my buddy? If the pitch presentation isn't happening, yeah. If we're talking again about the Pac-12, it couldn't. Maybe that's why it is. I was talking earlier. I got the CBS schedule for primetime for this year, and Young Sheldon will be back. So for those of you Young Sheldon fans, you got nothing to worry about. What we're seeing is that CBS has left the Saturday night kind of open. They're going to do reruns of programming that they've done during the week. So you may see, FBI and some of those shows back up, on Saturday night. That leads me to believe that CBS is still interested in a primetime football game. And could that be the Pac-12? It could be. Who knows? But that's kind of like one of those things that's curious to me. Why would you leave your primetime on Saturday night open when you have a deal with the Big Ten? So, something to think about. All right, let's go down here and grab this one. Okay, I'm assuming Fox CBS always been co-host. You would think, but man, I don't. The conference has a say in this. Okay, now let me say this: the conference has a say in it, but there's the but. The ultimate decision is Fox, CBS, and NBC. Okay, so they have the last say is Fox, CBS, and NBC. So I think what we have here, and by the way, it's quite possible. Remember that NBC has Notre Dame. There might be a time when Notre Dame wants to play a game in primetime. Okay, and so if that primetime game is not a game that includes a Big Ten team, that's where things are going to get awkward for NBC. I would think that they're going to mix it up as best they can, but I don't think. I do think that you're right that the tier two games, as they seemingly always do, are going to get screwed unless they do some sort of deal where, as I said, they can go to a regional standpoint. But yeah, I would. I mean, we already see a bunch of Ohio State, Michigan games on a Saturday. And look, I used to do those games, so I know how passionate the networks are to have them. Penn State, yeah, 100% Penn State's going to get in there. I wouldn't throw Wisconsin out of there either. Wisconsin usually gets their fair share of games. And look, they didn't bring USC and UCLA, to the conference to hide them. So yeah, you're probably going to see a disproportionate amount of their games too. But there's games probably are going to be in prime time because that would be better for them. They can get that, that kickoff at 4:30 ish for them. So yeah, I think that that's going to be. I'll tell you what, probably Fox is going to get a bunch of because teams don't necessarily like to play that 12:30 game. That seems to be something that they aren't really keen on. So maybe that's where we're going to see our Michigan, State and some of those guys are going to get that, in that area. Could be, right? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that we see it. What do we got here? There you go. So if Oregon and Washington don't bring any value to the Big Ten, what kind of I think they would bring a lot more value to the Big 12, to be honest. They could probably bump the value of that contract in the next contract probably up another $4 or $5 million. So it might be 34, 35 million. We are at an inflection point, where there's just so much money that can be spent. I don't think we're ever going to see a contract. Let me preface that. It's unlikely that we're ever going to see the kind of contract that was given to the Big Ten. Okay, because money, the way that this has worked, CFB, and you guys know this as well as I do, right? That cable has been, for how many years have we spent money on cable with TV stations we don't even watch, right? But they've propped up ESPN, they've propped up Turner, they've propped up all of these other, groups, Fox, that have been able to spend that kind of money. Well, as your TV, as it goes down, as cable goes down, and your subscription services go up, you're not going to get to those magic numbers that we have now, which is why you're seeing so many of the streaming companies popping up, as well as at the same time you're seeing the RSNs, or regional sports networks, going into, wait a minute, we promised you $1 billion, but we don't, we may have to go into bankruptcy to make it work. So to your point about Oregon and Washington would bring value to me, would bring value to more value to the Big 12 because of their access to West Coast markets, and they're both national brands, right? I mean, that's got to help too. So I would think they would. Could they replace theoretically Oklahoma and Texas? No, but they certainly would, be a very good fit for what's going on in the Big 12, 100%, no doubt about it. So, and when I say, let me preface what I'm saying about they wouldn't bring as much value. I mean, think about, you've got Ohio State, you've got Michigan, you got USC, you got UCLA, you've got brand name teams in the Big 10. Oregon and Washington, regardless of how, they're again, fine universities, fine, um, teams, they just become they're a second tier team in the hierarchy of the Big Ten. Okay, they just do. Where if they are in the Big 12, they're at the high, they're up there. They're in the top, three or two or three. I mean, 100%. I don't think anybody would argue that, having a brand like Oregon or Washington in the Big 12 would be, a home run if they could get that done. I don't think they can. And it has nothing to do with the Big 12. It's more the mindset of Oregon and Washington. But if they could, that'd be a coup for them. Okay, what do we got here? Do you think the Big Ten and the SEC in the future will see lower TV? I do. Because their current deals are unsustainable. I think that what they're gonna have to do is come up with a level, right, of TV that we know traditionally, right, and streaming. So when you get to that direct to consumer thing, which is what the MLS is doing right now with Apple, and what potentially the Pac-12 could be doing with Apple and Amazon and YouTube and all the other streamers, you'll get money. It's not going to be an insignificant amount of money, but as I said before, I don't think that we're going to see these plus there's also going to be, there's so many other sports that are, going to have to be taken care of as well. So college football is always a good, value, but is it, are we going to be, I guess the bottom line is we're not going to be overspending, right? Because that's what ESPN did. They overspent on everything to get everything. And so now they're kind of paying the piper for that. So we'll see. We'll see how it works. But I do agree. I think that maybe we went a little over the top here. Jared, what do we got here? So the lack of money that networks have is what's making it so hard. I would have to say that it is making it hard. Is there no money to give them? No, that would be silly. No. Here's a number. I'm going to throw a number. I think that they can get, and this is cobbling together, right? This is not one group of people putting it up, but cobbling it together. I think they can get, they're not going to get to 31. I don't think that's going to happen unless they just take the Apple money, because Apple will pay them that money. Apple will pay them more than that money. I think that they're going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 22 to 28, okay, per team. I think that's where they're going to go. I think if they can get 22 to 28, then they'll stay together, because it makes no sense to move in that realm for basically $8 to $10 million. It doesn't. Because the money that you're making on the academic side offsets any of that. $10 million, they can raise $10 million from boosters if they need to. And again, this is going to sound nuts, but the Pac-12 is not academically, and they're just not as concerned about the athletics as other conferences are. It's hard to explain that, but it's true. They are. So I believe that they'll take less money and stay together if the less money is, a fair quote unquote deal. So let's see what we got here. How much lower? I don't know that it'd be lower than 10. You're talking about $21 million versus $31 million. I don't know about that, but for some schools that might, maybe they can't, maybe they wouldn't. I don't know, but I think certainly, I've said all along, I've always said 5 or 6. And, I'll stick with that. They'll take 5 or 6 and stay together. I really would believe that. So what do we got here? Hey, Cameron, nice to see you. Majority of the money the schools get from states. Athletic conferences shouldn't have anything to do with research money. In some regards, yes, okay, but it all comes under the, it all comes under the the budget of the university. The highest paid, people in, because if that were the case, right, why would then the highest paid people in the state, in some states, be a football coach or a basketball coach, which is the case. So, the research money, is kind of a right pocket, left pocket, right? I'm not saying that athletic departments don't try to make money and shouldn't try to make money. I am. Of course they should. What I'm saying is that if you're talking about the Pac-12 and the ACC, they have a different mindset as to how they approach it. That's all I'm saying, is that, it's harder to make that sell of athletics being as important as academics to a Pac-12 or an ACC school. And does that mean that a Colorado or Arizona State, or for that matter, can pay? And here's the other thing too, and I don't want to make this what we got, which is grant money for federal and state grants. They do, all of them do. I assume that there are a number of schools, the Big 12, the SEC. I mean, I went to school there. It's not that they don't care about academics. I mean, that's ridiculous. Of course they care about academics. It's that the philosophy is that we graduate kids, and if we do well in the athletic field, that's great. And, we hope to contend for championships, but we also hope to bring in, research money. It's a mindset, okay? It's not, it's a philosophy. It's not, is it my philosophy? No, but I don't run those schools. I do think that it's something that a lot of people don't take into consideration as to why, again, you almost have to be on campus there to figure it out. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's up to them, right? I mean, they got to have 8 people that sign off on that, or they don't have a deal. If they don't have a deal, then, I mean, there's still a conference, but that's what that is. Okay. That was the SEC. I'm not quite sure what you mean on that. Did I miss something? Okay.
Yes.
Um,
but tell Philip that I am working.
I
This is a number that he can call.
excuse me just a second here.
3 o'clock. You ready?
And what am I doing here? I'm
Yes,
looking for.
He can call this number at 3 o'clock.
Huh.
202.
Sippy, do me a favor. What is it that you're asking on that SEC Big Ten deals in the future? That was. I don't see anyone moving unless the deal comes under 20. Cameron, that could very well be. I wouldn't disagree with that. $11 million in the grand scheme of things. It's going to cost you a lot of money to move. And by the way, you're not going to get the full share anyway. So there's that, right? CFP, if you're talking about the deals that they're getting right now, and will it get bigger? No, I don't think so. I think we talked about that. I think we might have reached our plateau here in dollars. But see, here's the thing, and this is what Brett Yormark has done at the Big 12. very well. And that's understanding how to market, right? He's done a really good job of looking into other revenue sources. Okay, so that TV is not just the only revenue source, that they can do major events and do that kind of stuff and raise money uh, in in that type of situation. And thank you for okay, you're asking how much money per team lower than 2030 question in the future based on TV deals not being the same. I think it's hard kind of right now to guesstimate, but let's think about it for a moment, okay? You guys are smart. You're smarter in math than me, I can tell you that. What I would think, all right, is let's say it's something Bob Thompson and I chat about and agree upon. We don't think that the cable's gonna get below 50% ish. Okay. So you're gonna have 50% cable / linear, right? So, but at the same time, cable companies who are paying $5 and $6 right now for a $5 or $6 now for a for ESPN are not going to pay $5 or $6 in the future for ESPN because they're up against them in streaming, right, with ESPN Plus, because ESPN is going to have to transition over to the ESPN Plus, sooner as opposed to later. I would think in maybe 3 years they'll do that. Does that mean they'll be off cable? No, of course not. It just means that you'll be able to buy them, buy all of ESPN, meaning ESPN News, all of that. It'll all be wrapped into that ESPN Plus bundle. Okay, so that's what that means. Doesn't mean they're leaving cable. So there's going to be certain monies that they can get from cable, and then the money and the whole thing hits the road as to how much will you and me and anyone else who considers themselves a fan, how much will we pay? Are we willing to pay $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, $30 a month? What are we willing to pay to get our sports? And I think that's where the kind of gray area is right now. We think we know. We think people will do it because they're already doing it to an extent. But if you can buy what you want, how much will you spend? I think there is a tipping point, right? I think you can't ask somebody to spend $50 a month for just sports. That would be a really hard, pill to swallow. But if it depends on how much we really want to see it, and so that's where the direct to consumer thing of the streaming becomes a, what do we want, right? We are now being given, for all intents and purposes, a menu, and say, okay, I'll take the SEC. Not really interested in the ACC, and you know what? Kind of like Big 12. Not a big fan of another conference. All right, fine, do that. And by the way, if you're throwing in all those other conferences, if it's ESPN, you're throwing in the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12. Yeah, so much better. I'll take that. So we're just going to be a little bit more discerning in what we do. So the exact dollar figure, I think it's right now it would be a guess, but I think a fair guess would be somewhere in the 10 to 15 excuse me, $10 to $15 million per school, because you're actually, in theory, you're buying the school, right? When you buy the conference. So, if I'm signing up for a Big 12 deal, at least I know where I'm going to see my games, and I know that I'm paying for it. So I don't, I will pay what I pay, right? Let's see what we got here. All right. You've been an alternate timeline. Big 12 falls apart. I thought it was very interesting. Yeah. What happened? That was kind of a slow burn, right? First thing was things were falling apart with the Big with the big. Okay, guys, this will be my last question. Then I'm going to have to go. I just have something to deal with here. We have some technical issues beyond my control. So let me answer this one, and we'll come back tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit more. Tell you what, let me, Cameron, I will answer that for you tomorrow. Okay, I'll give you this much. There was a Game of Thrones type thing with the Big East when the Big 12 kind of spiraled. That was when Texas Tech, Oklahoma State had they didn't commit to the Pac-12, but they were considering the offer, the invitation. And what happened there was that would have left all of the, it would have been 8 schools out on their own. And so at that point, there was a Big East. Actually, that's where the American Athletic Conference, which is now, we know the AAC, that was actually going to be the mixture of those two conferences, which would have actually been a pretty good mix of the teams that were there. Many of them, by the way, are now in the big Houston and Houston, UCF, and Cincinnati. They'd already been there, so that was kind of a cool thing. But I promise I'll get that to you tomorrow, or you can DM me or whatever, and I'll get it to you. Well, look, guys, sorry, but we're having some Wi-Fi issues here, and I got to get going because I don't want to fall out on you here. So look, y'all have a great day. Thanks so much for joining. Really appreciate it. And we will see you tomorrow at 2:00. Okay, bring friends. If you get a chance, do me a favor. Hit that button, subscribe, and like us. All right, take care, everybody. See you on Twitter.